guys, Lemmy here, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be the final strange, awkward, or bizarre YouTube story that I have to share with you all. And this one, I think, actually takes the cake. And it doesn't really involve me all too much, as I was just kind of swept up into this very bizarre situation, but damn, was it odd. And there's no real conclusion to the story, but rather I look at it like it was just a stretch of time that I could only call an experience. Before we get into the story, real quick, this is the third picture in my set of primary color girls. Each girl's a different ethnicity, holding a different type of flower, and representing a different primary color. And each girl is created the same way using watercolor and gouache paint. I will eventually be selling prints of these in my store in the new year, so keep an eye out for that. Today's girl is of Asian descent. She's holding, and I'm gonna butcher this, anemones? And she's representing the color blue. As for today's story, I actually had to go and break out my old pass to this convention. And I mean, I couldn't even remember exactly what year it was, but it did happen back in 2013 per this pass, so that means this occurred 4 years ago. I'm gonna start you from the very beginning, and this all happened because I knew a kid in high school, and I'm gonna call him Mr. Potato Head. And I was friendly with Mr. Potato Head, but we didn't really become that good of a friends till the tail end of high school, and then into the college years we became pretty close. And I'm guessing that was because a lot of his friends went away to college, and my friends happened to mostly be a year older than I was, so we were kind of still in the same town, and we both liked similar things. And at one point he decided that he wanted to start a YouTube channel, and I'm guessing he was inspired with the large amounts of video game YouTube people, the gamer channels and whatever, and he thought he could do it too and be successful on YouTube and do it as a living. You know, he wanted to live the dream. The dream only a Mr. Potato Head can dream of. But hey, all the power to you. If you want to try to pursue something like that, go ahead and try, because you never really know what might happen. You might become insanely popular somehow. So, good for him. But, you know, some time went by and Potato became infatuated with a Twitch streamer named Aurelian. And he would go to all of her streams and he kept telling me how hot she was. And he had a really huge crush on her. And this was pretty normal for Potato, as he would often become crazy infatuated with girls and then kind of like latch onto them for dear life. So he adored Aurelian, and at the time that this happened, she had around maybe 20,000 followers on YouTube, so she was mostly a Twitch lady. And Potato went to so many of her streams and responded to so many of her tweets that she began to notice him. And then she gave him the position of moderator in her Twitch chat. A bit of time went on, and Potato tried to be Aurelian's new star moderator. Always there, always doing everything he could as a moderator, sucking up as much as possible. And then Aurelian needed an artist for a new t-shirt design that she wanted made. And Potato asked me to do it. So I asked Aurelian what she wanted, I made it for her, and we had this agreement that I would be paid for my work through royalties when the shirts sold. And she never did follow through. I never saw a penny for the work that I did, but I looked at it like it was a favor to my friend the Potato. So I kind of like chalked it up as a loss, and I was like, well, I did it for him because he really wanted to impress her. So soon after, Aurelian modded me when the work was complete, which was okay. I mean, it was nice of her, but keep in mind, I never really knew her very well, and I didn't go to her streams, so it was kind of like a nice thing for her to do, but, you know, it didn't really mean all too much to me. Then, at another point, iHasCupquake was doing some sort of Gamer of the Week deal on her YouTube channel, and she would pick someone and promote them at the tail end of one of her vloggy sort of videos. And Potato commented his own YouTube channel and upvoted it with like a whole bunch of fake accounts to get her attention. And eventually, he actually became featured in one of her videos. So this was another victory for the Potato. I mean, he was really working very hard to try to network and get somewhere with his gaming videos. And he had very little subscribers, but man, he sure did put in effort to get more. But that's kind of the way, that's just the kind of guy the Potato, I mean, it's kind of the kind of potato the Potato was. I mean, I did like him as a friend. We had stuff in common, but he had kind of a weird attitude towards growing his YouTube channel. And at times it was kind of really weird. And I mean, he was pretty obsessive about it. And he was pretty obsessive about girls. Like, he had this weird attitude towards Cupquake and Aurelian that was kind of weird. But, I mean, I figured it was okay. And you want to know why I thought it was okay? Because I never thought we'd ever meet them. And I was wrong. So we're gonna fast forward a bit. We're at an Italian restaurant. We're eating and we're talking. And he told me that Aurelian now knows a very famous Minecraft guy named Captain Sparkles. And back then, Captain Sparkles had, I think, 1 million or 2 subscribers, and now he's like past 10 million. And the Potato is all excited that he might have the opportunity to work with Captain Sparkles somehow because he knows Aurelian. And I wanted to call bullshit on this. And I mean, I knew there was a possibility that she knew him, but I also knew that Captain Sparkles wouldn't want to collaborate with him even if, you know, Potato knew Aurelian. Like, that would never happen. But I kind of believe maybe Aurelian did know this guy. I mean, I don't think she's a liar, or I never thought she was, so I believed it, but I knew, like, this guy wouldn't want to do anything with Potato Head. And, you know, the Potato was very excited by the idea of collaborating with Captain Sparkles, and it was really awkward. So it really reminded me of his intentions towards the whole Gamer of the Week thing with Cupquake, and then trying to play games with Aurelian and doing all of his weird networking. But I also figured, once again, I won't actually have to deal with this. You know? Around this time, Minecon tickets went up for sale, and those suckers back in the early years got sold out in a few seconds after the tickets became available for sale. And somehow, the Potato was able to worm his way into knowing someone and getting 2 tickets to Minecon. And I'm still not exactly sure how he did it, but he got tickets from somebody. So he had 2 tickets, and I'm basically his only friend that knows about what's been going on with him and his YouTube aspirations and all this. So he asks me to go with him to Minecon. And if you know anything about Minecon, it's a convention about Minecraft, which is a game about blocks, pretty much, and building your own world and stuff like that. And there's lots of different kinds of mods on the game that you can do different things with, but it's like not really my sort of thing. I mean, it's kind of fun if you want to build something, but like I can't play it for extended periods of time because I just don't have that attention span, and I definitely wouldn't go to an entire convention based on one video game. Like, Comic-Con, great, sure, there's tons of stuff to do at Comic-Con, or like maybe an anime convention or something. Okay, maybe that's not as great as Comic-Con, but it has a whole bunch of different things to look at. But I've never been to a convention that's just about one video game. So the whole idea of it was kind of like really weird to me. And I also didn't want to go, and I made this the point of explaining to him why I can't go. I told him that I was living with my ex at the time, and things were getting pretty rocky, and I was starting to think that maybe he was going to move out, and I had to have savings to fall back onto when that happened because we were sharing the bills together. So I wasn't financially in the best spot to even think about going to Florida, because it was in Florida. I'd have to get there on a plane from New York, and then like hotels and stuff like that, and just financially it would not have worked. And I explained this to the Potato. While Minecon was in Florida, Potato wanted to drive because his mother has a home in Florida, and he figured he'd drop her off at her home and we could go to Minecon together. And then if they got hotel rooms along the way, they would have gotten them anyway, because his mom needed the car down there and everything. So like they were going to take the car anyway. I wouldn't have to like pay for gas or anything. I wouldn't have to pay for hotel rooms because I would just sleep in another bed in the same room or something. And I'm kind of a person who doesn't want to take anything from anyone, and I feel incredibly guilty if anything like that ever happens. Not to mention, I wasn't a huge fan of Minecraft or anything, so the whole idea of going was really like not what I wanted to do, because I just feel so guilty having to rely upon anyone. I really didn't want to go, but Potato's mother, I guess it's Mrs. Potato Head? No, that would be his wife. I guess it's Grandma Potato Head? She's just so sweet. Okay, so his mom, I can't even call her like Grandma Potato Head because she was just like the sweetest woman ever. She insisted that I go with the Potato because what is he gonna do? Go to this convention with his mommy? Like... And I still tried to get out of it because, I mean, I hate relying on other people, and his mom kind of made me say yes because I simply couldn't get out of it. Like, she's the most generous person, and no matter what I said, I wasn't going to get out of it. She wouldn't take no for an answer. And I still feel really, really bad about that to this day. And... you know, I told her all the reasons I can't go, and no matter what I said, she found a way to make it work. And I just ran out of ideas, so I was recruited to go to Minecon. There you have it, Potato had his potato partner in crime for Minecon. A reluctant partner, but a partner nonetheless. Fast forward now, we're getting to the convention. So... we made the 2-day drive to Florida, and it's the day before Minecon, and I believe it's like the night before, like the next morning, it's when it starts or something. But there's some sort of a meetup called Minecrack, I think it was called, and it was at a bowling alley, like somewhere, for some reason, and it was available to certain people somehow, for some reason. I don't know. And so we go to that because he wanted to go. I mean, I didn't, but he did. But Aurelian was there, and Potato definitely wanted to see her. And also other famous Minecraft people and all that junk would be there too. So we met up with Aurelian and said hi, and she was very nice, but she was also very busy. And Potato found some famous YouTube people, I have no idea who they are, and stood next to them and tried to be a part of their conversation for like an hour. So I get bored pretty quickly in because they look miserable. And I'm thinking, you guys suck. So I got bored and I kind of just wandered away and I watched this little kid bowling. Like, he's just bowling. I was just watching him. And most of the people there were kids. So, I mean, it was kind of like, and I just wanted to leave. But I would periodically, you know, check on the Potato to make sure he was still alive. And he was seeming to really try to suck up and make connections, but it was clear to me that the other people were not very inclusive. And they really didn't want anything to do with the Potato. And from a million miles away, I could see this. But the Potato wasn't going down without a fight. And that was about it. Nothing else really interesting happened, and then we went back to the hotel room. The next morning, we go to Minecon at the convention center, and we go in, and I turn to him, and I'm like, okay, where are the tickets? And he tells me that he doesn't actually physically have the tickets. So I stare at him a little bit, because I was confused, and it turns out we're supposed to meet some other guy in person to get the tickets and go in. However, Potato doesn't know this, and he keeps trying to give the information to the ticket guy, but that wasn't information for Minecon, but actually the Minecraft meetup thing that we had the night before. So he's trying to give names like he's a VIP, whatever, and long story short, we barely got the tickets from the guy to get into the convention to make it to some sort of opening ceremony in time. And like I said, I don't go to conventions often, if at all. And it was weird to me that there was an opening ceremony. I mean, especially because it was about a video game about blocks, but not just that, but I didn't know that conventions had opening ceremonies. But I mean, okay, a lot of people love it, so I guess it's cool. They seem to enjoy it, but I was like, this is kind of weird. And so the convention starts, and this is where things get very hazy for me, because so many things happened that I don't really remember chronologically in what order. So please forgive me if I jump around a little bit. I'm going to try to give you the story as best as I can remember it in what order it happened. So, Potato spots I-Has Cupquake, and he runs up to her to sign his convention pass, and I remember the look on her face. Like, she smiled a lot, but I knew she looked really pretty much freaked out, and it was really obvious to me. And I'm like a horrible person, so I said, oh my gosh, you both should take a picture together. And I know I'm a huge jerk, but I thought it was pretty funny back then, and I knew the Potato wasn't gonna like do anything to her, but he would just be so happy to have this picture. So I took a picture of the two of them together. And if Cupquake ever sees this, like, I'm sorry. I knew he wasn't gonna do anything to you, but I just saw how uncomfortable you were, and I'm like, I have to do this. So I took a picture of you guys together. Anyway, Potato asks her if she remembers him from the Gamer of the Week thing on her channel, and tells her his username. And she says, no, I don't. I do so many of them. I don't remember who people are, essentially. She tried to be nice about it. And he began his whole spiel about doing collaborations on YouTube. But soon after, she retreated back behind the curtains. It was one of those things that, like, when you show your face and then you get bombarded by a bunch of people, then you have to kind of turn and run when it becomes too overwhelming. So that was the time we had with I-Has Cupquake, which was really awkward. She looked so like freaked out by him. I'm so terrible for making them take a picture together. I'm just the worst. Pretty early on, we find Aurelian, and she introduces us to her friend. I think it was sort of like her longtime friend or something like that. Her name, we're gonna call her Sally. So, Aurelian's extremely busy and can't hang around Sally, so she asked me and the Mr. Potato Head to take care of Sally in the meantime, because we're her moderators, and, you know, I guess that's what moderators do. So Sally was difficult to talk to and not exactly very friendly. I don't think she was mean. She was kind of quiet, but also a little bit standoffish. And she really wasn't interested in looking at anything or going to any panels or really doing anything except standing around. And, you know, Potato didn't get to go to the panels that he really wanted to see. And this was kind of upsetting because, I mean, we had to babysit Sally, and that was of utmost importance since his beloved Aurelian asked us to do so. And to be clear, I really don't have a problem with Aurelian or anything like that, but Mr. Potato Head was so crazy about Aurelian that she could have said, like, lay down on the street. There's a puddle there. I want you to lay face down in it because I don't want my shoes to get wet. And he would be spread eagle on the ground, and then he'd be worried that maybe her toe touched some water or something. So, like, Aurelian theoretically could say jump, and then Mr. Potato Head would be like, how high do I need to go to please you? like he was that crazy about Aurelian. And I'm not sure if Aurelian ever really knew it. I mean, it was really obvious to me, just as obvious as how Cupquake didn't want anything to do with the potato. But, I mean, I don't really know if she was just trying to be nice. I really, honestly, I don't know how it is. But he was very clearly friend-zoned. So, yeah, nothing was ever gonna happen there. And it was really obvious to me. But back to Sally. Like, I was really kind of upset about this because I knew that the potato wanted to see those panels, and he paid all this money so that not only he could be there, but I could be there as well because he paid for my ticket. And he paid all this money, and it's not like he could do what he wanted at the convention. And I just thought this was very upsetting to me because I knew that the potato wanted to see something, so I'd be like, hey, let's go do the thing that the potato wants to see. But Sally didn't really want to do anything, so we never ended up being able to do it. So, okay, here's an example. It got to the point where, like, the potato adored these people, and they were called the Creatures or something, and they all lived in this house together or something. Like, this shows you how much I really don't know about the Minecraft community, but these creatures lived in a house together, and they had a panel that they were going to do, and the potato loved these guys. He thought they were great. But we weren't able to go to the panel purely because Sally wasn't interested and wouldn't budge on the matter. And Potato did get to see Sly Foxhound and get an autograph at one point, so that was good at least. But I do have a side note about Sly Foxhound. He's actually really nice. He hosted me on Twitch once and subscribed to me, and he was really nice. So yeah, he was nice. But I don't really know him. I don't really know these people. So it was lunchtime, and Aurelian goes out to lunch with a bunch of famous YouTubers and doesn't tell Potato or Sally that she's doing so. And Potato is very sad for losing his networking opportunity, and Sally is pissed because she is supposedly Aurelian's friend who just got ditched. And neither Potato nor Sally got to hang out with the Cool Kids squad, and I just awkwardly stood there and just felt bad for the both of them. At one point, we meet up with Aurelian and Captain Sparkles, and I don't exactly remember the time frame for this, I remember it was kind of funny though because Aurelian had to run around and get mustard or ketchup for Captain Sparkles or something, because if he went outside of the closed off room that he was in, he'd probably get trampled by the people. So he sent Aurelian to go get his condiments for him. And I think we were waiting for the start of one of Captain Sparkle's panels or something, and I think that Cupquake was at that panel as well, because I sat near Red, which is Cupquake's husband, and he was super, super nice. So the panel started, and then it ended, and we were on our own again. At another point, I saw the actor that plays the Hulk walking around, which was kind of cool. But then, I was not sure if there were kids with him or not, or what was going on with that, or if the Hulk just really likes games about blocks too, or not really sure what that was about. And then, at another point, towards the end of the day, Sally hadn't eaten dinner, so Potato's mom took us all out to dinner, which was extremely nice of her. And I felt so awkward, and I felt so bad about it. I kind of just wanted to roll over and die, but it happened. And then we went to the Islands of Adventure. If you had a Minecon ticket back in 2013 when you went to Florida, you could also go to the Islands of Adventure that night for free. The park was closed off for Minecraft people only, which was actually pretty awesome. The lines for rides were extremely short. And it was kind of creepy, but also kind of really cool, because it was really dark and it was late at night and not many people were around. So it was just like kind of neat to be in a park that didn't have as many people in it. And then this is when stuff went from boring Minecraft stuff and not being allowed to really do anything the whole day to really frickin' weird. It turns out that this whole time the girl we were babysitting, Sally, was supposed to be set up by Aurelian with this really popular YouTube guy named Sky Does Minecraft. Back then he had millions of people, now he has like 12 million. So they were to be set up as in like on a date. So this whole time we've basically been babysitting Sky Does Minecraft's date for that evening, which was weird. So now that the potato finally realized what his true mission was, we found Sky and delivered his date to him. And then, this is the most bizarre part, Potato says, we can't leave. And I'm like, okay, dude, she's on a date. And that doesn't involve us, and we need to go, 'cause, like, that's weird. But what made stuff more awkward is that Sky Does Minecraft had a bodyguard. Yeah, a bodyguard. So this guy followed them around and protected him from strangers. And he would make sure that they weren't crowding around Sky and did all this other weird stuff. And I had my own hunch going on that the potato wanted to befriend Sky Does Minecraft, so he refused to leave them alone on their date. And so he just kept trying to talk to Sky, and I was just standing there like, okay, I can't just leave Mr. Potato Head here with these people, because what will I tell his really sweet mother if I lose him? And he, like, what happens if he gets thrown into a lake somewhere, or I don't know. So I hung out with the bodyguard, and I watched the mess in front of me. So it was basically like Sky was trying to walk around and mac on Sally, and then the potato was following and trying to mac on Sky, and then they were all being followed by me and the bodyguard, and I was so bored that I began to ask the bodyguard questions. I was like, so, How long have you been Sky's bodyguard? Have you been a bodyguard before? What's the weirdest thing a fan has ever done? Has a fan ever went up to him at his home? Has anyone ever attacked him? Like, you named it. I asked him. Like, whatever. I asked him whatever I could come up with. And he answered all of my questions, honestly. And this went on, like, for way too long. We shouldn't have been there. So I felt like we were stalking these people on a date. And I'm getting increasingly annoyed at this point. Like, this guy has a bodyguard. We don't need to be there with them. Just text Aurelian, let her know where Sally went. But this is what happened. Like, they would go on rides, and we waited at the bottom for them. Me, the potato, and the bodyguard. And then, when Sky and Sally would get back, Sky would get mobbed with kids, and they'd all try to get his autograph. And when we walked around, it would be, like, basically him and Sally, followed by the potato, followed by me and the bodyguard, and then followed by a giant mob of kids that was, like, 10 feet away because the bodyguard wouldn't let them get any closer. Then, if for some reason a ton of kids came from the front or something, the bodyguard would move Sky so that Sky's back was against a building, and then would force the kids into a line of some sort. And it was really weird, and it was pretty unpleasant, because then we had to just stand there and watch him sign stuff. Which was just like, why am I wasting my life when I could just be going on these rides at the amusement park but there's no lines? Like, why are we wasting our time with this? Eventually, I get so fed up that I tell the potato, like, I'm so done with this. And, I mean, we're not going on any rides, and I want to have some sort of fun, so we leave them. And at some point, I trip with my flip-flops because there was a puddle of water, and I scraped my toe on the ground. So my foot was, like, bleeding everywhere. Like, just blood everywhere. So I go to the Harry Potter World bathroom, and I stick my entire foot in the sink. And I'm washing the blood off. But it was bleeding so much, by the time I got out of there, it looked like there was a murder that took place in Hogwarts bathroom. Then we go back to the hotel room, and that's the end of that day. Next day, we find out that Sally went home with Sky that night, but one of them was violently ill for some reason. I think it was Sky. I think it was Sky who got sick for some reason. I don't know if he ate something bad or I don't know. But we were just happy that Sally wasn't dead and she had somewhere to be that day and she was safe. So then there was a closing ceremony that day or something. I mean, I think Minecon was a 2-day affair. And it was really weird because at the closing ceremony, Sky Does Minecraft, while I think he was the one who was sick last night, was forced to sing live on a microphone to one of his Minecraft music videos that he was involved in. And like, at that point in my life, I was just like, this is the weirdest few days I've been vaulted into. Like, this is just very strange. So the best way I can explain this experience at Minecon was that I felt like I was part of a very strange sitcom. And I didn't see it as any sort of opportunity to network with anyone, because, I mean, I don't care about meeting anyone. I didn't really want to be there at all, and I felt bad, but that's really the truth of it. The whole convention was full of smelly teenagers who didn't know how to use deodorant, and everyone walking around had foam swords and all this other merchandise, and it was just like, I mean, the game is kind of fun, you can build stuff, I guess, and like, that's about it. And the funny thing is, like, behind the scenes, none of the YouTube people looked happy. They all looked exhausted and absolutely miserable. And then they'd go outside the room they were in and put on a happy face, and then they would retreat back into the back room, and they would look miserable again. And this is a funny side note, really doesn't have to do with anything, but I paid for my plane ticket home, and Hulk Hogan got onto my plane. And that's when I knew that our plane wasn't gonna crash. It was a sign. I saw 2 Hulks in one trip, so I knew I was gonna have a safe journey. But that's really it for the Minecraft portion with all the famous people. Basically, when I got home from the convention, my ex and I broke things off and he moved out. And I was actually engaged to him, and it kind of came out of nowhere. I was with him for 4 years, and I became very depressed over it. And I didn't really talk to anyone for a while. And a couple of months later, when I felt better, I said hi to the potato again. And at that point, the potato no longer wanted to be my friend. And I honestly knew that this whole Minecon trip would destroy our friendship. Like, I really did. I knew something bad was going to happen, and I wouldn't be able to escape it. And no matter how hard I tried to get out of going to Minecon, I just couldn't do it. And I sometimes wonder that maybe if I made more of an effort while I was really depressed, that maybe things would have been different, or maybe if somehow I had extra money to pay for my own Minecon ticket, it would have helped. But I wasn't in a place to do that at the time, and I made it abundantly clear to everyone, him and his mother and everybody. But, I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing I can really do about it. And, yeah, that is the mysterious story of the potato and Minecon. And it was just about the most odd situation I've ever been in. I felt like the potato was my son, and I was taking him to meet his idols. And then at another point, you could tell he was trying to network, and none of the other people were remotely interested in networking with him. And it was very sad and very awkward and very horrible. Not only that, there were like these really big cow statues and stuff, and it was very strange. But at least I got an interesting story to tell, I guess. There was also another tidbit of information I left out during this entire video, but that's only because it was Potato's secret, and I probably shouldn't tell Mr. Potato Head's secrets. And I couldn't find if anyone actually let the public know about it, and I couldn't dig it up, so I guess it'll just have to stay my secret forever. You know, you crazy Minecraft people and all your behind-the-scenes stuff and your bodyguards and your dating and whatnot. Like, I don't know. Very strange. But that's simply what I think. But what do you guys think? Do you watch any of the YouTube people I talked about in this video? If so, who and for how long? Have you ever been to Minecon? If so, what did you think of it? If someone offered you a free ticket, would you have gone? And if you were in my situation, would you have turned down the potato and his mom? And if so, what technique would you have used? I tried so many different things until I just ran clear out of ideas and excuses. And okay, lastly, if you were the potato, would you have tried to network with all these people? Like, would you have stayed for Sky and Sally's date? Please let me know, because I seriously don't think anyone on this planet would have stuck around to watch people on a date. Except for maybe the paid bodyguard, because, you know, it's his job. And that's about it for my third absolutely strange story from YouTube that I have. I mean, there are other experiences that I've had, but none of them so absolutely weird as these 3 have been. I mean, when I think about it, I'm kind of like a magnet for really odd things happening to me. Or at least everyone tells me that. I don't know. I just don't know. I guess that's about it for the video. And I get kind of sad because I like my videos to kind of come full circle and have some sort of resolution, or like, this is what happened then, this is what happened now, and it wraps up in a nice way. But this story really wasn't one of those. It was just an expanse of time where something really weird happened, and it was a whole bunch of really weird things, one right after the other, and then I went home and it was over. So yeah, that's about it for the video. I mean, I'll talk to you guys next week. You guys take care of yourselves, and yeah. Bye, guys.